I'm going to be talking to you about stress management. The handout pretty much is just an outline of information I'll be talking about. Stress management to me personally is a broad term. I mean, it's almost like we could say everything is stress right now in our lives. I mean, just getting up in the morning is stress. Getting ready for school is stress. Driving to school or taking the bus or walking to school or riding your bike to school is stress. Of course, riding your bike, you take your life into your hands when you go over that bridge. But everything has gotten to the point where we have stress continually in our lives. So how do we deal with it? How do we stay healthy through it? Let me ask a question first. How many of you have been sick at least once this quarter? How many of you have been sick twice this quarter? How many of you have been sick all quarter? Well, that's good. That's good to see. Did you know that when we have a lot of stress in our lives and we don't deal with it properly, it starts to break down our immune system, and that's how we get stressful. When I was going to college, I was sick constantly sick, and I found that it actually was something that I used. I didn't know I was using it, but I was using it to sabotage myself. It would be an excuse to not complete things. It would be an excuse not to go somewhere. It would be an excuse to show up late. It would be an excuse to not go to work. How many have had that experience? Personally, I got so tired of it. I mean, literally got so tired of it that 1 month after I'd finished school and I was actually in the working field, I only worked 7 days in 1 month because I was sick all the time. But I had let stress affect my life so much that every time I would go through something, didn't matter if it was a good thing or a bad thing, a positive thing or a negative thing, or an advancement in my life or a step back in my life, I would always be sick. So I never had the ability to deal with the end of that situation. So to me personally, I was starting to look at my life and go, what value do I have in my life? And at that point, I really didn't feel like there was a lot of value in my life because every time I turned around, I was sick. So pretty much we're going to talk about stress management in the sense on how can we be successful in stress management. A lot of it is basically just being honest with yourself and truthful with yourself and looking at your lives, okay? Simple tools. Well, I like to use the KISS rule, keep it simple, silly. I don't like to use the other terminology that a lot of people will say. But that's part of it, is keeping it simple. We don't have to do anything in great diagram or engineering or analysis or anything like that. It's basically keeping it simple. If we can keep it simple, we can learn to be healthier and happier people. Now, when we look at our situation today, we always say we want to be in the moment and we want to be happy and confident and secure in the moment, right? I mean, that's kind of that would be our mantra, our goal for every day. But are we? If we can't do it for today, how can we do it for tomorrow, a week from today, a month from today, a year from today, for the rest of your life? Life is a choice, and your choice is your life. So when I look at that, what I try to say to you is that there's things we need to be looking at. You need to be realistic when you look at your life. What are the things that are important? What are your priorities? And what are the things that basically are just taking up space, right? Now, the things that are important right now in your life are being able to go to bed at night, get some sleep, eat, drink lots of water, get up and go to school, maybe go to work, maybe deal with your family if you live with your family or you have a family that you're caring for, and then doing it all over again. That's something that really is just the priority. That's just life in its outline. And that's really the simplistic levels we should be looking at. The other things in between that are other parts of that, if we want to bullet that down or summarize that, it would be, okay, if we want to go to bed at night, are we ready in the morning when we wake up? Do we have things ready so that we can wake up and go in the morning? So in an example, do you have your books and your homework and everything in one spot so that you know where it's at, so that when you leave, you just pick it up and you leave? Do you have clothes ready in the morning that you can put on, that you don't have to think about, that they're ready, that you can put on and then just get ready to leave? Do you have things ready for breakfast in the morning that you can eat or prepare simply so that you can be nourished, have energy, and feel good when you get into your clothes, pick up your backpack, and leave? The last thing, do you know where your keys are to the house? Do you know where your cell phone is? Okay. Usually the scenario is you're trying to get out of bed. You can barely get your head up off the pillow. You can barely put your feet on the floor. You can barely walk into the bathroom. You can barely do anything that you have to function to get yourself cleaned and ready to go in the morning, let alone figuring out what clothes you have to wear. And that might be a treasure hunt in itself. And then trying to figure food, well, it might be the leftover pizza from dinner the night before. Who thinks about drinking water in the morning? Who would rather grab a cup of coffee in the morning? Who barely can find their backpack, their keys, and their cell phone, and by the time you get to the door, you are so worn out, you can barely get to school? Is that pretty realistic? Okay. Simple things that we can do in our life, very simple things. We can learn about how to organize our lives. Start with one thing though. Don't try to do everything the first time. It can be very overwhelming. We almost need to go to counseling for that. So one thing at a time, one step at a time. Maybe it might be that at night before you go to bed, set your clothes out with your shoes. There's something very comforting about being able to find your clothes in the morning and put them on. You don't have to think. It's there. It's ready to go. There's no decisions. What can change that decision from night to morning other than snow? Put a coat on and boots. Okay? Another thing you need to understand is that you have to have things in the morning to eat and to drink. When we wake up in the morning, and if you are fortunate enough to get 8 hours to 12 hours of sleep in a night, we call that a fast. Because in that period of time, you have not been eating and drinking, unless you're a night walker and you eat while you're walking or drinking, okay? When we wake up in the morning, we don't have any glycogen in our brain. The glycogen that we put into our bodies helps our brain function. We're dehydrated, so our muscles are having a difficult time understanding what movement is and what we need to do. So one of the first things you can do after you walk through the bathroom, into the kitchen, maybe open the refrigerator, and the night before put together just a bottle or a cup of half juice, 100% juice, and water mixed, and start sipping on that. If you start sipping on that, you put enough into your body within 15 minutes that your brain starts to function. You start to be able to think. Your body starts to process. It says, oh, I'm hungry. I need to eat something now because I don't have any more nutrients in my body because I just went through an 8 to 12 hour fast. So hopefully maybe the night before, we could set something out on the cupboard that might be a simple breakfast in the morning, if that's where we need to start. Maybe it takes a box of cereal, a bowl, having some milk in the refrigerator, and having a bowl of cereal. Again, we start putting nutrients into the body, things that help the body function in the morning, which give us the ability to think a little bit more clear. We have energy, so we're not so tired. And at that point, if we do it in that process, we're not going to be so likely to pick up on the way to school that quad. Okay, quad mocha, quad whatever, quad. But did you know that in a 4-ounce cup of coffee that is in electric percolated coffee, drip coffee, has more caffeine than 1 shot of espresso? So if you have a quad, you're having about as much caffeine equivalency in that quad as you would in 1 cup of coffee at home. Saving money, convenience, gas prices are going up. Okay, a little bit of logic there, a lot of understanding and prioritizing. So what you can do is you can get that ready the night before you go to bed. If you have a coffee pot, put the water in it, put the coffee grounds in it, turn it on in the morning, you got your cup before you leave. Now, if you have a pot of coffee sitting there, don't throw it out. Put it in a container and put it in the refrigerator. Use it the next day. Pour some in a cup, put it in the microwave, voila, cup of coffee. Okay? Simple. Now, in regards to the rest of your life, when you get to school, by then, if we follow this simple process of getting up, being ready, having everything at the door ready to go, eating some breakfast, your body is functioning, you get to school, you're going to find that you're going to have a better ability at function, focus, concentration, application. So if we can do these kind of things to help our lives along, that first class is going to be a lot easier. In fact, it might be a lot more than you even have been listening to for the rest of the quarter. So if we go to our classes, we function for our class, we get done with class. Now for people that work, how many here go to a job after school? Okay. By the time you get to your job, you're probably so spent and so tired that you can barely move, you can barely do your job, and you're thinking to yourself at times, how am I able to keep this job and not get fired? Has anybody ever thought that? Okay. Never, not you. The idea of what you want to remember then is, okay, we've gone through school, we go to a job. Did we eat anything in between there? Did anybody hear anything about lunch? I didn't. But lunch is important. Again, we have to feed the body to keep functioning. So, how do we do that? Simple plan, Sunday nights. Maybe do a little grocery shopping and plan your lunches for the whole week. Maybe put them in the freezer, and you don't have to have a big freezer. It can be the apartment-sized freezers. Here's a tip. Take a loaf of bread and some baggies, lunch baggies. Make a whole loaf of bread up in sandwiches, put them in individual baggies, put them back in the bread sack, and put them in the freezer. Now, you can always take one for lunch, or you can take one for lunch and a snack. That's kind of what I do. And you put it in your lunch bag or your backpack. It'll thaw by the time it comes lunchtime, and it actually will taste better, be fresher, and be at a healthier temperature than if you made that sandwich in the morning, didn't keep it refrigerated, and brought it to school. You can use any type of peanut butter jelly. You can do meat and cheese. You can do tuna. You can do chicken. You can do a vegetarian kind of sandwich, only it might be a little mushy. Tomatoes, lettuce are kind of hard to put on there. They get a little bit of mushy. But you can actually have things ready. Even if you were doing a vegetarian lunch, put the bread in the freezer, freeze it, take your stuff, put it in the baggie, put them together in your bag, and then you can throw it together when you get there. You can do the same thing with your wraps. You can make your wraps up and freeze them ahead of time. It's the same thing. So then we've got food, we have energy, we have nutrients. So then we go to the job, and all of a sudden we're alert and functioning. Our boss is looking at us and can't understand what happened. We have energy now. Okay, so then when we get done with our job, we're usually probably wandering home about maybe 9 or 10, about realistically. Then we need to eat again. We need to eat something. Even though we like to eat before we go to bed, instead of eating and then going to bed, but you're probably doing homework. But you want to eat a lighter evening meal. So maybe have something that's not going to be so high in fat, high in salt, high in sugar. Maybe having like a nice big salad. Lots of vegetables, green leafy vegetables, and maybe some protein. Protein does actually help you sleep. So you might want to have like some lean meats or something that you can put into that. Now again, we go up home, we eat, we have energy to do our homework. You're probably up for another 3 or 4 hours doing homework, hopefully only 3 or 4 hours, and hopefully getting to bed and starting the whole process all over again. Now, stress management. When we talk about stress management, it's this huge big picture. And in 30 minutes, it's really hard to give you the key to life to help you with all your stress management. But you can start with little steps, one at a time. You can do it with little things, like setting the clothes out at night. Make sure your backpack's by the front door with your cell phone and your keys. Making sure you have breakfast ready in the morning. Lunch, dinner. Did that sound too hard? Did that sound like somebody could do that? Making that choice and making that decision is what it is. Now, the other things we need to listen to are the symptoms of our body, because they tell us what happens before we get sick. Alrighty? One of the things is do you feel like when you're sitting in class sometimes you get a headache? Do you feel like you're getting a headache sometimes when you're in class? It's a symptom of dehydration. Water. Do you feel like you're going to fall asleep in class? Nobody's ever experienced that here, right? Okay. That's a symptom of dehydration. Water. Okay? Do you feel like you're really sluggish during the day and you've actually had your breakfast, your lunch, and your snacks? That's another symptom of dehydration. We should be drinking about 64 ounces of water a day. I know. It's like, you've got to be kidding me. No, really, you really do need to drink about 64 ounces of water a day. It's the most important nutrient that your body needs. We die if we don't have water. So that's how serious it is. So slowly, you're depleting your body of hydration if you're not drinking water. And then when you add sugars and you add caffeines, what happens is you start creating more efforts where the body has to put more body fluid to it, more water to it, so we're not hydrating the muscles, the brain, the heart, the lungs. So that's why we get so tired. That's why we get headaches. So we need to understand that water is so important. Now, I have a really hard time remembering to drink water too all day long. So I have a sippy cup, just like the kids. This helps me. If this is empty, I refill it right away, and I drink it down, and I refill it. So I pretty much drink about 8 or 10 of these a day. But I'll tell you, that is probably one of the most important things to do to stay healthy. Because if we start taking away the things that are important, like water, foods, rest, what happens? The immune system starts to break down. We add stress of school, work, family, relationships, all of those things, right? Okay. So some of the things that we need to be able to look at is be optimistic at what we're doing. Keep that in front of you. Our goal, of course, is to get through school. Our goal, of course, is to find a profession out there when we finish school that will pay the bills, that will allow us to have a healthy and happy life. One of the things, though, I can tell you is that if you don't stay healthy, though, you can't have the other things. Because when you're healthy, you start to break down more and more and more, just like we talked about at the beginning of class. How many times have we been sick and used it to define who we are by not showing up to class, not finishing our homework, not making it to work, not being able to pay our bills, not being able to be involved in relationships? It's easier to say, oh, I'm sick, I just can't do that right now. Well, how far will that get you in life? Well, it didn't get me very far. That month I worked 7 days. You want to know what happened to me at the end of that month? I got fired. And that's how people look at it. They want someone that's dependable. But you can't be dependable for somebody else unless you're dependable for yourself first, right? Right. So the idea is that you want to make sure that you start looking at your life realistically. What can we get rid of that's garbage? What do we spend a lot of time on? Well, it can be anything. It can be just basically looking for our book bag. It can be trying to figure out what to wear in the morning. Those are very simple things that we can trade up, right? Other things can be maybe looking at the reality of what we're doing in school. Use your resources at school. If you're struggling in a class, talk to the teacher. We have tutor systems here that are amazing that can help you release your stress that you experience in your classes. And it's free. We also have counseling service. We also have a food bank. If you're running out of food and you don't have any money for it, go to the food bank. In fact, Thursday is the farmer's market. Take whatever you can. They have to get rid of that food. So bring a backpack that's empty, throw it in your other backpack and load it up and double pack home. You know? Pass that word around to other students too. Okay, so then what are we looking at from there? Well, we have work. You know, if you find that you are struggling at school and at work, you're on the verge of losing something somewhere, right? Talk to your employers, communicate with them. They cannot read your mind. Neither can the instructors. So you need to be able to communicate. It's another simple tool of stress management. We have to look at things that are realistic. Okay, here's another point of view. Now, when I was going to school, there was always something going on. You always had people around that were kind of, let's say, more demanding of your energies, maybe a little needy in the sense of wanting your attention. You got to sit down and be realistic in your relationships. If these are people that really care for you in your lives, they're going to understand. If you have to back off from something in some kind of situation with a friend or family, just say, look, I'm really, really backed up here. I need to take a break and I need to get things organized so that I can get healthy and stay in school. That's all you got to say. You don't have to give more explanations. You don't even have to give an explanation, okay? It's okay. It's okay to do that. And it's not saying that there's something wrong with it. I do want you to have fun, because having fun does help replenish the body. We need to be able to laugh. We need to be able to do exercise. We need to be able to do movement to make the body happy, to function. So don't give up everything, but look at your life and see what you need to separate, okay? Get a positive view of things. Look at who you are and what you are, okay? Now, I'm going to teach you a little bit of relaxation exercise here for stress management to finish this up. I want you to be able to close your eyes for me, okay? I want you to sit up tall if you can. Now, I know we've got the noise of the fan and stuff like that, but if we can kind of breathe through our nose, okay? Sunny, you can do it too. Okay, close your eyes. And I want you just to listen to your breath. I want you to breathe in through your nose, breathe in, and breathe out. Breathe in, and breathe out. We're going to take a journey, and our breath is going to take us to the side of the ocean. It's dusk. And we have enough light that we can see the difference between the horizon, the waves, and the shore, and the sand, the driftwood. Now, as we move along the beach, we stand, and our toes are in the water, and we can feel the warmth of the water over our toes as we breathe in. And as we breathe out, we feel the sands leaving beneath the feet, breathing in and breathing out. As we turn from the water, we start to walk down the beach's shore, and in the distance, we see someone coming towards us. We're attracted to their energy, the movement in their stride, the movement of their arms, their confidence and strength, breathing in and breathing out. And as they come a little closer and we start to see maybe the outline of their hair or face, we can see the warmth in their eyes and the welcome in their smile, breathing in and breathing out. And as we move closer and closer to this person, we feel anxious and excited to meet this person, breathing in and breathing out. Finally, we come within just a few feet of each other. They stand there, and we can see their strengths, their beauty, their understanding, their knowledge, their compassion. They reach their hand towards us. We reach our hand and touch their fingers. And in that moment, we realize that who we're actually looking at is ourselves. The true value of who we are, the reflection that others see, breathing in and breathing out. And in your mind's eye, you close your eyes, and when you open, they are within you, breathing in and breathing out. And as you move back along the sands, you move to the beach and sit and rest against a large piece of driftwood, breathing in and breathing out. Your hands move across its surface and it's smooth as silk. We lower our hands into the sand, and as it sits through our fingers, we feel its smoothness, breathing in and breathing out. Each one of these, the driftwood and the sand, is at its greatest strength at this point. It's gone through many seasons and elements of time to be greater, stronger, and more beautiful, breathing in and breathing out. As you rest in this place, watching the waves slowly roll into the sands and pulling into the horizon, we come to the moment in the breath to realize that this is our true value of who we are, our strengths, our knowledge, our capabilities, our understanding, and our compassion. As we breathe in and breathe out, we can come to this place anytime to feel peace and contentment, harmony, balance, breathing in and breathing out. And I want you to open your eyes slowly. Any visualization like that in any type of deep breathing exercise is going to be useful. You don't even have to have the visualization, you can just do the breathing. How many actually feel better just from breathing? That's all it takes. So in other words, when we're dealing with all the stress in our life and we're trying to organize ourselves and get things back on track, take a few minutes, do some deep breathing, take some time for yourself, because I can promise you that if you use that one tool in your life, and I come across you in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, that from using that one deep breathing exercise and tool, you will be able to say, I'm healthy, I'm happy, and I'm successful. It doesn't take much, it's free, and you can do it anywhere. Any questions? Did you enjoy that? Good. It's like going on a vacation and not having to pay for it. Great. Well, thank you, everyone. On the handout, pretty much it's just more information about what's happening. You know, when we stop, we want to be able to govern our own lives and not let everybody else govern our lives. You want to be able to breathe in and out and use that. Delay the words that leave your lips before the thought is in your mind. You need to be objective. See the complete situation. Ego prevents us from being productive. Mindfulness influences the important issues. See yourself as you truly are with acceptance. Recognize your instinct. It will always be right. Discover joy, laughter, happiness, and satisfaction. And in that, you can find health and wellness. So with that, I conclude everything. You have a wonderful rest of the quarter. And I can tell you, if you try and do that deep breathing exercise before your final, it's supposed to increase your concentration level 10%. So give it a shot. What can we lose? Thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful day.